a decade of upheaval setting the stage. The 2020s have been a period of profound global change, marked by events that have shaken the foundations of the international order. From a global pandemic to great power competition and the resurgence of war in Europe, the world has witnessed a convergence of crises that have tested the resilience of global governance and reshaped the geopolitical landscape. The early 21st century held the promise of a more interconnected and prosperous world, driven by globalization and technological advancements. However, the 2010s saw the rise of nationalist sentiments, economic anxieties, and political polarization, setting the stage for the tumultuous events of the following decade. Understanding the key geopolitical events and trends of this decade is essential for comprehending the forces that will shape the future of international relations. The great rivalry, the United States and China. At the heart of the shifting geopolitical landscape lies the intensifying rivalry between the United States and China. This competition, often referred to as a new Cold War, is multifaceted, encompassing economic, technological, military, and ideological dimensions. The United States, long accustomed to its position as the world's sole superpower, faces a formidable challenge from a rising China, eager to assert its influence on the global stage. The rivalry extends to the military domain, with both countries modernizing their armed forces and vying for influence in key regions, particularly in the Indo-Pacific. Shifting sands of power, the US-China rivalry in action. The US-China rivalry is not merely a theoretical concept, it is playing out in various arenas across the globe, shaping regional dynamics and influencing the behavior of other actors. In the Indo-Pacific region, China's growing assertiveness in the South China Sea, its military modernization, and its economic influence through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative have raised concerns among neighboring countries and the United States. The United States has responded by strengthening its military presence in the region, deepening alliances with countries like Japan, South Korea, and Australia, and promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific as a counterweight to China's influence. Beyond the Indo-Pacific, the US-China rivalry is also evident in Africa, where both countries are vying for economic and political influence. China has invested heavily in infrastructure projects across the continent, while the United States has sought to counter China's growing presence through development assistance and security cooperation. The US-China rivalry is a defining feature of the current geopolitical landscape, with far-reaching implications for global stability and prosperity. War in Europe, Russia's aggression and the shifting global order. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 marked a turning point in 21st century geopolitics, shattering the post-Cold War peace in Europe and sending shockwaves across the international system. This act of aggression, widely condemned by the international community, has had profound consequences for European security, global alliances, and the rules-based order. The war in Ukraine represents a blatant violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and a challenge to the principles of international law and the UN Charter. Russia's actions have galvanized the West, with NATO allies and partners uniting in support of Ukraine, providing military, economic, and humanitarian assistance. Section 5. The Aftershocks, Navigating the New Security Landscape. The war in Ukraine has sent ripples of uncertainty and anxiety across the globe as countries grapple with the implications of this conflict for their own security and the future of the international order. The specter of nuclear escalation, the resurgence of Cold War-era tensions, and the erosion of trust in international institutions have created a climate of fear and uncertainty. In response to the changing security environment, countries are reassessing their strategic priorities, strengthening alliances, and bolstering their defense capabilities. The war in Ukraine has led to a renewed focus on deterrence, with NATO allies increasing their military presence in Eastern Europe and providing Ukraine with advanced weaponry. Section 6. The Rise of the Rest, Challenges to the Established Order. The 2020s have witnessed not only the resurgence of great power competition, but also the growing assertiveness of regional powers and the emergence of new actors on the global stage. This trend, often referred to as the rise of the West, reflects the shifting balance of power in the international system and the challenges it poses to the established order. India, with its growing economy, demographic weight, and strategic location, is also emerging as a major player on the global stage. Other regional powers, such as Brazil, Indonesia, Turkey, and South Africa, are also seeking to exert greater influence in regional and global affairs. This diffusion of power presents both opportunities and challenges for the international community. Section 7. The pandemic scars global health and the future of cooperation. The COVID-19 pandemic, which emerged in late 2019 and rapidly spread across the globe, has been one of the most significant global events in recent history, with profound consequences for global health, the global economy, and international relations. The pandemic has exposed vulnerabilities in global health systems, exacerbated existing inequalities, and tested the limits of international cooperation. Beyond its immediate health consequences, the pandemic has also had far-reaching economic implications, triggering a global recession, disrupting supply chains, and exacerbating existing inequalities. The pandemic has led to job losses, business closures, and a decline in global trade, with developing countries particularly hard hit. While there have been some examples of international collaboration, such as the development and distribution of vaccines, the pandemic has also been marked by competition for resources, vaccine nationalism, and misinformation campaigns. Section 8. A world divided, nationalism, populism, and the erosion of global trust. The 2020s have witnessed a resurgence of nationalism, populism, and anti-globalization sentiments in many parts of the world, fueling political polarization, social divisions, and a decline in trust in institutions. The rise of nationalist and populist leaders, often campaigning on platforms of economic protectionism, cultural conservatism, and anti-immigrant rhetoric, has reshaped the political landscape in many countries. These leaders have often sought to undermine multilateral institutions, challenge established norms, and prioritize national interests over international cooperation. Stagnant wages, rising inequality, and a sense of economic insecurity have created fertile ground for populist appeals that blame foreigners, immigrants, and elites for economic woes. Section 9. The climate challenge. A crisis that knows no borders. Climate change has emerged as one of the most pressing global challenges of the 21st century, with far-reaching consequences for human societies, ecosystems, and global security. The increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and other climate-related impacts pose significant risks to human health, livelihoods, and infrastructure. Addressing climate change requires a global effort, involving international cooperation, technological innovation, and behavioral change. The transition to a low-carbon economy requires a fundamental shift in energy systems, transportation, agriculture, and other sectors, and will require significant investments in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and carbon capture and storage technologies. Section 10. Navigating a New World Order. Alliances and partnerships. In the face of these complex and interconnected challenges, the international community is grappling with the need to navigate a new world order characterized by shifting power dynamics, emerging threats, and the erosion of traditional alliances. The 2020s have witnessed both a strengthening of existing alliances and the emergence of new partnerships as countries seek to advance their interests and address shared challenges. The United States, under the Biden administration, has sought to revitalize its alliances and partnerships, emphasizing a return to multilateralism and a commitment to working with allies and partners to address global challenges. The war in Ukraine has also underscored the importance of transatlantic unity, with NATO allies rallying in support of Ukraine and strengthening their defense posture in Europe. Section 11. The future of geopolitics towards a more uncertain world. The geopolitical landscape of the 2020s is characterized by uncertainty, complexity, and rapid change as the world grapples with the legacies of the past and the challenges of the present. The COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, the escalating rivalry between the United States and China, and the rise of populism and nationalism have all contributed to a sense of flux and unpredictability. The rivalry between the United States and China is likely to intensify, with both countries seeking to secure their interests and promote their visions for the international order. Climate change will continue to be a defining challenge of the 21st century, with far-reaching consequences for human societies, ecosystems, and global security. By embracing cooperation, upholding international law, and addressing shared challenges, we can work towards a more peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable future for all.